The summer has slapped us in the face like a big sunflower of joy. The birds are singing, sensibly tested Berliners have returned to their favourite dingy bars, and schoolchildren are doing wholesome teutonic end-of-term hikes in the forest. Meanwhile, ministers can't remember if they copied their PhDs or not, and there's an election in Saxony-Anhalt to look forward to. Now, all you have to do is get through the chemical fumes of that first sip of Megacan. Stay super happy.
Hello everybody, it's time for another episode of Megan's Megacan. I'm Megan, I'm here with Ex-Berliner Magazine and the lovely Konrad Werner. Hello Konrad.
Hello.
How are you?
Fine.
I'm trying to make my voice really upbeat because I'm quite...
Yeah, you work quite well. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so. I almost got away with it and then I gave the game away like a magician showing their tricks. I'm going to go straight into the booze because Jesus Christ.
Yes.
So I have, somehow these Megacans have managed to survive my fridge for a while, but these are the Jim Beam and Black Ice Tea Lemon, and I think they're really delicious, actually.
That must be...
It's definitely, I feel, one of those ones. It's in a nice matte can with beautiful illustrations of lemon leaves and lemon slices and whole lemons.
Yeah, lovely, yeah.
Yeah, it looks good, doesn't it?
Are you sure it's lemon leaves and not black tea leaves? Or...
Oh, could be.
It's not really important.
Yeah, it would make more sense to be tea leaves, I suppose.
But it's a nice summery Megacan, I think, for the fact that the summer has started now.
From what I remember...
Cheers.
From what I remember, this is one of these ones where you definitely have to take the first sip with a pinch of salt.
Oh, yeah.
That's good. I like that.
Yeah, I think the first sip is a little bit it's not really tea. It's not really whiskey.
Well, the first thing of a Megacan, I think, is just the sort of the fumes of whatever is actually in these things has gathered at the top. So you just got to get it into you.
Yeah.
And then you can sort of, much like the coolish water of the Berlin lakes at the moment, it's fine once you're in.
Can you take the chemical hit? Much like when you get into a lake.
Yes.
There's a kind of a layer of algae you've got to get through at the top, and then you're fine.
Absolutely.
Have you been to a lake this week?
Not this week, no. I have my little house by a lake. People are going to think that it's very small little east
a dacha.
German. It is a little dacha.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was in there 2 weeks ago because I was very hungover. It's way too cold for me to be swimming. But my friend, the lovely Hannah Clark, enticed me in by being it will completely cure your hangover. And it bloody did.
Oh yeah,
but it was I could go in for 5 seconds and then get out again, and then you feel amazing. There's such a high when you get out. It was brilliant. I don't know how anyone, hardy German neighbours who are all retirees in this little area that I'm in,
they do that.
And they just get in, no sounds, no oh god, none of that. They're just in swimming around doing their aqua aerobics. I'm how? And they're oh, come on, it's not so bad. And then they go and shower with outdoor showers just attached to a hose. Hats off to you.
Well, I think that's how you grew up in East Germany, probably.
I think they had indoor plumbing.
In the summers, it was probably lovely. They all go into the dachas and then go
in the summer, sure, but this is before this thing's really warmed up. It's been the coldest spring for 8 years.
Yeah, but they go swimming in January, don't they? They go on New Year's Day. They go swimming.
It's too much. No.
Break the ice and just fling themselves in.
Gotta be careful with that.
Anyway, let's get on with the news.
It's a beautiful evening.
Yeah.
The weather has finally decided to stop being a crabby bastard. You can hear the birds, and things are starting to open up in Berlin.
Indeed.
People, I'm sure, have been enjoying Außengastronomie, and now we got the news middle of this week that people are able to, as of today, enjoy innen gastronomy.
Yeah. We're not getting one explosive sort of moment like they did you remember in Spain they were dancing in the streets and that. We're not really getting that, are we? We're getting this incremental opening up. You can go to a bar and you can sit outside without a test, or you can sit inside with a test.
Yes, which is of course sounds reasonable when you are discussing these things in a room with nobody who works in hospitality. But as I was sitting with my good friend who manages bars last night, and she's like, that's fine, but toilets.
Yeah.
So people are having to come in, and if you don't like their bar, so you don't have table service, then everyone has to come inside.
Yeah.
So bars have been left in this position of like, well, what do we do? Because you know how it's going to go. People have had a few drinks outside. They're going to need to pee. They're going to walk in. They don't have a test. So they're walking into the like tested definitely corona-free area. They're coming in from outside. They go pee. Probably don't wash their hands. Come back out. Oh, hey, Horst. Haven't seen you for 3 months. Oh, I'm going to sit down at your table. Oh, just for a second and then I'll go out. And like everyone's hugging. Nightmare.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But I'm still very excited. It's really nice to sit in bars.
This incremental solution is not really sustainable.
No, absolutely not.
But,
it's absolutely not. What else has opened up this week? I'm sort of losing track.
Well, I've heard that the theatres have started selling tickets again for the summer.
That's good.
And schools.
Yeah.
You should know that.
Having been told that, so schools have been, since we reopened in any capacity at the end of January, February, must have been in February after the winter fair, and I literally cannot remember at this stage. We've been in like hybrid mode, so half the class is in or half the school in our case, and then you switch. And we were told by the education minister in Berlin, no, we're definitely going to be doing that to the end of the school year. We're like, sweet. Everyone plans everything, project weeks, trips, all of that. And then of course various things happened, but the main thing happened was 2 primary school students did an Eilantrag, like a, what is that? Like a speedy...
A speedy injunction.
Yeah, and brought that to the Verwaltungsgericht.
Right.
What's that? Like the council...
Administrative court.
Yeah, and the result of that came out either last week or early this week. And the court found in favour of those 2 students who were arguing that their constitutional right to education was being damaged by the fact that they were in hybrid mode. And the court found just in the case of these 2 students, so the court didn't then say we must open all schools, they just said these 2 students should have the right in their area to go to whatever. However, obviously then this reignites the fire of controversy around schools and whether they should be open or closed, whatever. So Shires, actually the beleaguered senatorin who I've been cursing black and blue all year, she was saying, no, we need to give schools stability. They've already planned. Let's just keep it the way it is until the 23rd of June. Then, of course, this thing happens and the pressure really ramps up. The parties that were kind of wanting the schools to reopen were, I think, well, in Berlin it's a bit difficult because who's in our coalition? I can't even remember.
In Berlin?
Yeah.
SPD, the Linke and the Greens.
Right. So the Greens wanted to open again, as far as I'm aware. Okay. And the Linke were like, no, this is crazy. And then the SPD were like ununited in their thing. But Shires is then under like a huge amount of pressure because of this court decision. And like after a while, she was just like, fine. So they told us on Tuesday, as of Wednesday, for literally the last 2 weeks, from Wednesday to the Wednesday 2 weeks later, we are all in.
All in, all the
all
time.
All in.
Proper.
All in, the whole time. We can't do Abstand anymore, but we will have masks on the whole time. So it's great that it's going to be up in the high 20s.
And all this because of 2 primary school pupils.
Well, on some ways I can understand, and if people are going to restaurants and stuff, but it's also just, as I'm sure with lots of other teachers, sat in an emergency meeting from 4 o'clock to like 4:40 this afternoon, just being like, right, how the hell are we going to manage this? And it's also the testing, and now they want us to test 3 times a week. And people say these things. People don't understand that, like...
You'll manage, won't you? 3 times a week.
Yeah, and it's like, well, no, because in our tiny school, testing half the school already takes us the guts of 2 hours in the morning. Maybe an hour and a half, we've got it done. And the kids are amazing, and they're trying their best. But it's still like calling them up, getting all the forms out, getting the tests, waiting the 15 minutes... then bringing them all in thing, and then doing the next year group. And our school is so small. I do not know how you're going to test 1,000 students 3 times a week and get any teaching done. And it's boiling hot, and everyone's grades in secondary, and probably primary as well, already decided. They're done. There's no more like assessing, and it's going to be fun, and we wanted to do trips and projects and everything, but we'd already planned those with the timetable that we had.
Oh, what a nightmare.
So now it's just like, right,
And this is all
Okay.
just for 2 weeks of school. It's the last 2 weeks.
The last 2 weeks, and everyone remembers. Come on now, everyone
Yeah,
remembers the last 2 weeks of
Especially
school.
in primary school, you just bring in your toys. Do you have a toy day?
Well, our kids are teenagers, so.
Well, yeah.
But yes.
But I mean, for those kids, they just wanted to show off their toys, didn't probably? Maybe that's why they brought in a suit in the administrative court. They were just
yes,
we want to have we're on board game day.
Yeah, and look, it's not that I don't, but the union was obviously against this as well. And the other thing is, yeah, the numbers are down, but we still do have a killer pandemic. The numbers within the age groups who are at school are actually pretty high. They're not as low as the rest of the population. Very, very few teachers I know are fully vaccinated, as in dose 2 plus 2 weeks. Most secondary school teachers just have 1 dose. Some only have none.
Still.
Yeah.
Bloody hell.
But it's fine. It'll be fine. I think it'll be fun in a way. Like, it's just mad. And our kids are just, I don't know, like I was saying the other day to friends, like there's quite a lot of crossover between like the pandemic and puberty. This kind of feeling of timelessness and things going fast and slow at the same time, and really wanting to touch people and not really being sure if it's allowed or appropriate, but also like longing for freedom and to be out of this, but also really anxious about what that's going to bring. And the summer's happening and the sunset, it's going to be mad. It's going to be a lot of, and there's going to be, by the way, everybody, there's going to be a lot of school trips out and about, because we've realized that in order to keep things remotely sane, and the Senate has also said this as well, like trips, Wandertag, classes out in the free air. There's going to be a lot of kids around and about doing activities.
Okay.
And you best be nice to them, because...
Watch out for them. What kind of trips are you going to do? You're going to go to like...
Well, I am a convert to the old-fashioned German Wandertag, which is literally just you go and walk about in nature. It's brilliant. You have lunch, you buy ice creams.
Yeah.
You don't have to like worry about their behavior around anyone because you're in the middle of the Plentowald. So if you see big groups of teenagers, give them a wave, be nice to them, but also please feel free to exit the same train carriage and get onto the next one at the next stop, because I do that as well.
Good.
What else has been happening?
Have you heard of Franziska Giffey?
Giffey. Let's try and say it differently every time we say it. I have. I feel like there's the theme today is just like, what's up with the SPD? Are they okay? Because I'm not sure that they are.
Do you know what she's the minister for?
Yes, families, isn't she?
Well, not only. She's the minister for families, senior citizens, women.
For me.
Includes you.
Brilliant.
And youth. She's the Jugend minister. So that all those groups are clumped together in one in the German cabinet.
Nice.
Well, I say she is that, but in fact she's not that anymore.
No, she's not.
Because she resigned.
Yes.
She resigned because she is probably going to have her PhD stripped from her, because some people found out that she's plagiarizing parts of it. She plagiarized parts of it. She says that she finished her thesis in 2009 in good conscience, though admitted she may have made some mistakes. It's kind of an odd scandal, this. It's something that doesn't really happen in very many other countries. Definitely not in the UK. But a politician has to resign because they found out they copied bits of their PhD. But
I find this quite wholesome, because apparently prime ministers can say things like, let the bodies pile high in other parts of the world, or grab them by the pussy.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, in a way, it is kind of nice that someone actually does care about, what do you call it, integrity, academic integrity, and that it should be enough of a reason for a cabinet minister to resign. But it's happened quite often, and there's a whole website, a whole network of academics who check PhDs. Not only politicians, but just generally they check PhDs. If they see anything, they're all volunteers. It's called Vroni Plag Wiki. There's also other plagiarism companies and software that you can get, but they're kind of the gold standard.
Okay.
They're usually PhDs themselves, and they really, really care about academic integrity.
Yeah,
and
that's good.
And they do it on their
I
own
really
time
like
as well.
academics a lot of the time. Apart from when they're going like, I can't speak on my campus anymore because of trans students. Like, it's such a transphobic. Shut up.
Yeah, that's another issue.
That's another issue for another day. So what is the... So Franziska Giffey did her PhD when?
She finished it in 2009.
She finished it in 2009. And so when did this sort of come to light? Like, when is this...
Well, a couple of years ago, questions started to be asked by this group, von Plag Wiki.
Okay.
The university, which is the FU Berlin, Freie Universität Berlin, did a check and said everything was fine. And von Plag Wiki was like, nah, check again, please. And check it properly this time.
Yes.
And then new questions were raised, and there's this kind of a lot of things were probably happening behind closed doors, because it is a big thing when a cabinet minister has to resign.
It must be quite bad, because they haven't really released this sort of reporting or anything yet, have they?
No, but yeah, no, it's not really been released. But you can read the PhD. Like all PhDs in Germany have to be published. Yeah, partly because when they started doing PhDs in the 19th century, loads of people were buying and selling them. So there was loads of scandals at the time, apparently.
In the 19th century, I love shit like this.
And then there was some academic, intellectual philosopher guy, writer, someone important. He was called Mommsen, Theodor Mommsen, and he basically pushed to make sure all PhDs were published so that some people could check, which has now come back to bite quite a few doctors. And it kind of like I spoke. The reason why I want to talk about this because I actually spoke to one of the von Plag Wiki about how they check things, and she was telling me that it's actually quite mad. Sometimes she reads things, and it looks like the people who did the copying haven't even read over it. It just looks like they've copied and pasted from somewhere, from Wikipedia or wherever, and put it in.
I love that you're trying to shock me with this, and it's the one thing that you're going to tell me that I'm not going to be shocked by, because I'm like, that's my literal fucking job. They just copy and paste.
They're PhDs.
I know. It is shocking at PhD level, but.
And she said they copy not only from they from news articles. They copy out of, she said, instruction manuals. She's seen things copied out of instruction manuals for bits of equipment, and just like anything, like brochures. They just think things are just like copy and pasted in. And it looks like, she says, that not only have their supervisors not read over this, because they would have seen it straight away, but the people who did the copying haven't even noticed it when they read it over it, because it doesn't make sense anymore. So it looks like people are just filing PhDs and it just gets waved through. That's what it looks like.
I mean, it sounds more or less like Google, a lot of Google classrooms across the world at the moment, where kids are just like putting in any old shite and hitting submit, and then there's like no attachments or some random thing. And
you have to remember, this is von Plag Wiki. They don't do it any systematic way at all. They just go by whatever they feel like checking. If anyone can file a suspicion. Like if you think you've seen plagiarism in a PhD, you can point it out to them.
Fun little hobby for like retired. I often wonder what I will do with my retirement. And this, along with traveling around with loads of sample-sized paint pots, and correcting grammar and apostrophes on signs, this would also be my retire project.
So I don't know. So it's enough of a scandal in Germany for a cabinet minister to resign. It's happened about 20 times. The first time I can remember it was a really big scandal was in 2011, when the then defense minister, and we've met him before on this podcast, he's called Karl Theodor zu Guttenberg.
Jesus Christ.
Who is now...
What was he up to before?
He's one of the lobbyists for Wirecard. I mentioned him once.
Brilliant.
He was defense minister in 2011, and he resigned.
Still doing sterling work.
Yeah. And
in the fraud area, in the area of fraud.
And he had his PhD stripped of him.
Great.
And he resigned over that in 2011, and then Education Minister Annette Schavan. That also happened to her.
Education Minister, that's bad, isn't it?
Yeah, Education Research Minister. She was really popular as well. Apparently she was really good friends with Merkel, and Merkel was really sad to see her resign. And so it was a big thing. And then Ursula von der Leyen's PhD has been checked, and Frank-Walter Steinmeier's PhD has also been checked by Vonnie Plagrucci.
Right?
They're all right, but they did find some referencing errors. But they were allowed to keep their PhDs. So is it like a thing?
What does the referencing error mean? The referencing this thing you do last. I imagine you are just fucking. You are on like cup of coffee 16, 2 hours sleep. That's what I'd be doing. I'm very last minute.
In academia, it's really, really important how you put footnotes on things.
Yeah, but do they mean like a technical?
Yeah, you haven't. It means you've not attributed a source properly.
Oh. That's bad. I thought they just meant that fucking Harvard thing, like you put the semicolon or the colon in the wrong place.
No, it means like you've mentioned maybe you've done like something like, according to da 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 da, and then you start writing the paragraph, and then 2 paragraphs later you're still writing that thing, but you're not really mentioning that you're still kind of paraphrasing something that you mentioned earlier. You know, that's why I imagine it is, and it kind of.
I'm constantly saying to my kids. If it's somebody else's ideas, yeah. Like, but now I know it. I'm like, yeah, but it is hard, that kind of like. Anyway, we're slightly veering off into like not.
No, I'm interested. It's interesting what how your as a teacher perspective has on this, because it's a kind of
various levels. Like, I guess the hardest thing is like. But it shouldn't be hard at PhD level unless you're not really putting in any independent thought, because you take people's ideas and then you build on it, and you can say building from, and then it becomes your own idea, which you've based on that one, or you're disagreeing slightly with their thing.
Yeah.
So it just concerns me that this is happening. So I've heard a few things on the Giffey thing. I've heard like she's dishonest and therefore unfit to hold office. So, because the other interesting thing is she's stepped down from she's resigned from her ministerial cabinet position, but she's still running the SPD. Wowie, they are still running her as their mayoral candidate for Berlin.
Well, that's the big joke. She was going to resign anyway. She was going to resign at the end of this. You know, there's the elections in September. She was going to leave the government anyway because she wants to become mayor of Berlin. So it's a kind of a tactical retreat.
She sounds like... right, okay,
she wanted
fine.
to get it out of the way. And here's the other... Can I tell you one other funny thing?
Please do.
She originally offered to, when it was sort of not quite clear whether she copied her PhD or not, she originally offered not to... I don't know how you say it in English. It's führen. You führ your title. You present your title in public, so put it on your business cards and put it on your letterhead.
Okay.
So she originally offered, rather than giving up her PhD title, she wanted to like not say in public that she had a PhD title, which is a thing in Germany apparently. It's a thing that you can, you know, like when you have your ID cards and stuff, and you know when you click on forms on the internet, and it always says title and everything. If you click on the wrong one, that is a criminal offence. Like if you say you've got a PhD and you don't have one, or if you say you've got any academic title and you don't have one, and this is kind of unique to Germany, that is a criminal offence. You can't in any way present yourself.
What I think is very interesting is because I think that German society is weirdly obsessed with education.
Yeah.
In a way that British society is obsessed with class. It doesn't really surprise me that there are all these kind of scandals. It's almost like, you know, I don't know, I just think it's interesting. Yeah. Like I often hear of people speaking about, they talk about level of education in it as a sort of euphemism for, I don't know, that's just my anecdotal experience. But anyway, so Giffey, what do we make of this? Because I've heard various opinions. I've heard people saying she is a liar, or she's dishonest and she's unfit for office. I've heard people saying it's an absolute joke, like, oh, the SPD are just like, oh, she's not good enough for the Bundesland, but she's good enough for all Berlin, that's fine, and that's a bit of a joke. I've heard people say that she gave her word to resign if it was found that that would be taken off, and now she is being a woman of her word. And I've heard people saying, well, they're putting it up for, on another podcast I was listening to, Die Lage der Nation. This is now a democratic decision. If the people of Berlin want her, then they can vote for her, and it's fine. And it was almost like the ethical thing was kind of out of it and going to be decided by the people. And I don't know what to make of it, but I'm not sure what the SPD are up to.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously,
like, is this the best you have to run the capital like this?
Yeah, they must have. Well, I mean, all these decisions are like made in the party, and obviously she has lots of fans and friends in the party, and they have. It's not. I mean, I'm sure it's not just totally a tactical decision. If it was only a tactical decision, surely they would have chosen a new candidate.
Yeah.
But because she's extremely unpopular now and everyone's after her, like especially the tabloids are just all. Here's the other thing: the tabloids are really going after her, where they didn't go after Zu Guttenberg in the same way.
Well, she's a woman, so
and she's nominally left wing. She's SPD.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, it's she has a right to run. She's like, if she can run, she has a right to run. And, and
that's
it is a
fine. I just
decision.
find it.
I mean, it is strange, but
I just find it odd. Like, either you plagiarized on that thing. This is the thing. Like, and this is the real issue with plagiarism. Like, at some level, after grade 7, when you have done the thinking and put the work in, and you also know when you don't.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm not hearing from her is any.
Well,
it's this kind of like, she's still doing this sort of like, well, if they find out that I did, then I will resign. I'm like, mate, you freaking wrote it. Well, apparently you didn't. And this is what happens in school, where it's like, either they say, oh, but I didn't know what plagiarism was. And I'm sorry, if you are a PhD student and also a cabinet minister in Germany and you don't know what plagiarism is, you're too stupid to hold office. Like, I'm sorry.
Right.
So either it's a stupidity issue, or you fucking know what you've done and you're not fully owning up to it. There's a difference between saying, if I get caught and the authorities tell me that I have to give it up, then I will resign, and going, you know what, guys? I actually did. And like, it just annoys me, I think, as a teacher, like the amount of, but how do you know? Maybe I just accident, like by coincidence. Literally, I've had this from more than 15 students in my teaching career, and it's not even that long. Well, maybe I just wrote the words the same order as that person on the internet. Like, yeah. Only you can really, like, she is the one that should be able to tell us what she did or what she didn't do on that PhD. And
yeah, well, and she insists that she was honest and that she may have made mistakes.
Yeah, well, what were the mistakes? Like, you can say, oh, I was honest and I made mistakes, but like, was it I took a big chunk off the internet, or I asked my friend to do it, or I just got kind of bored in the second half, so I didn't really go over what I had and I just left my sources in there without referencing them? What is it, Francisca?
Yeah.
You were there. It wasn't that long ago.
No.
I can vividly remember writing my dissertation for university.
Well, it's an interesting... Let's see what happens. The voters will decide.
Democracy.
The people
is it a good idea? I don't know. We'll see. How's your Megacan? I feel quite drunk.
Yeah, I'm off my face. I've got one more thing to talk about.
Iced tea, I know, but I want to talk about Megacans for a second, okay. Because some people come here, myself included, just for the Megacans. I recommend this one. I feel like I'm on a porch in Louisiana.
Yeah. Where did Louisiana come from then?
Well, that's iced tea and like bourbon and stuff.
Oh, okay.
They need to do a mint julep Megacan.
That would be great. I love mint juleps.
Oh, who doesn't? And a mint julep is supposed to be traditionally drunk from like a not a tin cup, but like, you know what I mean? Yeah. One of those metal cups. That's perfect.
Yeah, it would work, yeah.
Right.
It's to keep it cold.
If anyone in the Megacan industry is listening, first of all, where's our fucking sponsorship deal? And second of all, mint julep cup. Mint julep in a Megacan.
All right.
We can pretend like we're at the Kentucky Derby.
There will be queues outside the Spätis.
Be too much. Maybe that's it. They know it'll be like it'll be
too popular.
Right, one more thing.
One more thing.
One more piece of news.
One more piece of news is this Sunday is part 2 in Superwahljahr.
Ooh, so we've already had.
Year.
Oh God, who voted before? I can't remember.
Baden-Württemberg and Rhineland-Palatinate.
Oh yeah, and it was good for the
Rhineland-Pfalz.
Greens. Was it good for the Greens? The Greens
Baden-Württemberg was.
Yes, it was.
And Rhineland-Palatinate was as well, even though they didn't win it, but they got loads more votes. But this election is a bit different because it is in the dreaded east of Germany, where
I think he's saying that because I like ironically. It's not just before people get across. So
where all the mainstream political parties are scared to go now. Because the current polls for Sunday are AfD and CDU are neck and neck in the state of Saxony-Anhalt, which is just west of here. All the other parties are on about 10 to 6%. So the Linke, the Greens, the FDP, all on 10 to 6%. And the AfD and the CDU are neck and neck, 28, 29%. And as things stand, probably what will happen is that because all the other parties have ruled out doing a coalition with the AfD, it means that Rainer Hasselhoff, who is the the state premier.
I'm sorry. I have had such a busy week. I'm half drunk on a Megacan. I'm exhausted. Everything's on lockdown still in terms of seeing my family, and now you want me to legitimately deal with a politician called Rainer Hasselhoff. I can't. I'm out. I'm done.
He is the only politician that anyone's heard of from Saxony-Anhalt because he's the state premier there.
I'm sorry, there's been a state premier called Rainer Hasselhoff and I didn't know about him.
Yeah, do you want to see a picture of him?
100 more than anything.
There he is, that's Rainer Hasselhoff.
He looks like a cross between Michael Müller, the mayor of Berlin, and the sort of old eagle Muppet.
Yeah, the American Eagle.
Yeah.
Whatever that was called. Yeah. So whatever happens, he will probably be state premier again.
And he's CDU.
He's CDU.
And so that everyone will form a coalition and not talk to the AfD.
But the interesting thing is, like, who will he do the coalition with? At the moment, he's the head of what's called a Kenya coalition. Have we talked about this before? You have to know your national flags.
I do have to know my national flags. I barely know. I don't know who's running the city I'm currently sitting in. So the fact that I now have to know the Kenya's flag to be able to talk about the state parliament of somewhere that I didn't even know who was running the show.
Yeah.
It's a lot. So Kenya, I want to say green.
Yeah.
Black.
Yeah.
Yellow?
No, red.
Red.
But yeah.
And which one's red?
SPD. So it is.
But what's Die Linke? Are they also red?
They're also red, yeah.
Oh, fuck's sake.
So he's currently the head of that coalition.
Right.
But it won't work. Those three parties will not have enough for a majority in the parliament. As things. So they'll have to add another party, or which would either be the Linke or the FDP. If it was the FDP, which is more likely with the CDU head of the government, that would be a Zimbabwe coalition. Do you know what the Zimbabwe flag is?
Sorry. I'm so sorry. I just can't. I just cannot. I cannot deal with this country anymore. Because the only fucking time they recognize that Africa's not like a homogenous mass is when they're naming mental coalitions down the country. Fuck off. No, it's too much. Right, so Zimbabwe, I'm assuming, is red, black, green, yellow.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Fucking brilliant. Congratulations, Zimbabwe.
And the...
Who is responsible for coming up with these? Like, do they just go through all of the flags
Yeah, they just go
So
through
are
the
those?
photo.
But I feel also that there's probably loads of countries that have those colours of flags, and that we could just all, switch it up. We could do like a continent for each, term of office.
I mean, feel free to go through all the flags and choose different names for the coalitions.
Cool.
That could be your hobby when you retire.
That's another brilliant hobby.
Yeah. There's also a Jamaica coalition.
I know. I've heard of the Jamaica coalition.
Right.
Green, black, yellow.
Yeah.
There's no red in the Jamaica flag.
Yeah. But that's not going to happen in this, I think. Oh, wait, hang on. Wait, I'm just Googling it quickly.
Just let's all Google things.
Jamaica coalition. Yeah. Green, black, yellow. But that won't be enough. There won't be enough in Saxony-Anhalt. So we'll have to see how it goes.
So we might be looking at a switch from Kenya to Zimbabwe.
Yeah.
But Rainer Hasselhoff will still be the state premier.
And
hopefully.
he will have to decide who he wants to do a coalition with. If
But they can't do it with the AFD. That's...
Yeah, everyone's ruled out working with the AFDs. So far, that is still a taboo. But, you could see that in some Eastern German states, you could see that taboo cracking a bit with the CDU because they don't know how to form a coalition otherwise. But we'll see.
And why have values when you can have power?
But so far, it's not happened.
Let's see, I suppose. Great. Looking forward to it.
So, yeah, that's that. There's a few other things we could talk about in the election, but that's just like the main stuff. Don't have to get into it.
Well,
I mean, it would be a massive thing because, like the Linke,
yeah,
they've got way more voters in Saxony-Anhalt than the FDP. But if the CDU was forced to do a coalition with the Linke, that would be pretty seismic.
That'd be wild.
Because they've always ruled that out too. The CDU and have said that will never happen. We should also point out that Saxony-Anhalt is a pretty small state in terms of number of people.
Well, I was quite shocked to read that not a very big percentage of the population of Germany lives in the former East. Like, it's really pretty small.
Well, it's because they all moved away after the reunification. About a quarter of the population moved away. Or they moved to Berlin or they moved to the West. So it's only 2.2 million people in Saxony-Anhalt.
Maybe we need to show a little love to the East.
And also that means...
if they could stop being like a bit racist for like a fucking hot second.
And Saxony-Anhalt has the oldest population of any of the states. Average age is 47.9. Partly for the same reasons, because everyone moves away. So,
Well,
it's very small.
People are going out to vote on Sunday. Is Sunday always voting day in Germany?
Yeah.
Good Lord.
It's because it's the day everyone's got off, I think. That's why they do on a Sunday.
Yeah. I mean, they could just give us a day off, but they famously don't like doing that. Haven't we now in Germany having like this weekend is the last Feiertag that we'll have for the rest of the year because everything else falls on a weekend?
Is that true?
Yeah, I think so. They've got some Feiertag somewhere like down in Bayern, which is messing with the vaccination strategy.
Oh, that was yesterday.
Oh, yes.
That was Thursday. That was...
Oh, here we go.
Frohen Leichnam.
Oh, what's Frohen Leichnam? Is a Leichnam not a body?
Whatever I answer now will be a guess.
We're not very good at public holidays here.
But yesterday was Frohen Leichnam.
What's that? The feast of
the body.
Yeah. Happy body.
Catholic
Happy
cannibalism.
Corpse. Yes.
Right.
Right. Okay. There's the news, I think.
Now you will feel fully informed.
There we go. Brilliant. Hopefully also a little drunk, which is what I am. I'm ready to go and enjoy some Außen- oder Innen-Gastronomie. I think everyone should just keep testing. Use the frankly, I don't know about anyone else's Keats, but we are tripping over Schnelltestzentren in Neukölln. They are everywhere.
Yeah. They're on bikes.
Just get
and
a
stuff.
test every day. And then even if it, because it might get a little bit chilly and you want to move inside,
Get a quick test down.
everyone
on the
just
corner.
keep getting tested because it's nice and safe. We're creeping up on the vaccination numbers, which is nice. I really suggest people follow Marcus Söder on Instagram, which I wouldn't usually say, but he's like, I was following like Söder memes. The man makes his own memes, and I don't think he has like a social media team. It's just him. I cannot tell you how much you need to go and do that. It's so good. It comes up in your feed and you're like, oh, is this a meme? Oh, is this funny? Oh no, that's his actual, that's what he said. He's just in a speedboat going across a lake, grinning into the camera in a selfie. Or sitting alone in a beer garden on the first day of Außengastronomie being like, there's still lots of room.
Brilliant.
Also, if anyone can source me like he has, he's got an FFP2 with the Bayern flag and symbol on it, and I really want a Berlin one so badly.
Oh, that must be possible. They've got one of everything else.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, thank you very much. Thanks for the news, Conrad.
Thank you for your presence and for the Megacan and for the news at the beginning bit. So quite a lot
It's
of
fun.
things.
There's teenagers. Just be nice to teenagers and also primary school kids. They're also hot and sweaty and in their masks. All right, everybody, stay safe. Wear your masks.
Bye.
Bye.